Jake Martinez walked across the college campus on a cold Tuesday morning. His wallet felt light in his pocket, and his stomach growled loudly. He had exactly $12 left until his next paycheck, and his environmental science textbooks cost way more than he expected. The bright red banner hanging between two oak trees caught his attention. Blood drive today. It read in bold white letters. Earn $50 for one donation. Jake stopped walking and stared at the sign. $50 would buy groceries for a week, and maybe even gas for his old Honda Heat. Changed direction and headed toward the campus health center. The building looked the same as always, with its white walls and glass doors. Students walked in and out, carrying backpacks and coffee cups. Jake pushed through the entrance and followed the signs to the blood donation area. Nurse with gray hair and kind eyes greeted him at the front desk. Her name tag said Betty Johnson. She handed him a clipboard with forms to fill out. Jake sat in a plastic chair and answered questions about his health history. He had never been seriously sick and rarely even caught colds. Betty called his name. After 20 minutes she led him to a small room with a comfortable chair that looked like a dentist seat but covered in blue vinyl. Jake rolled up his sleeve and Betty wrapped a rubber band around his upper arm. She cleaned a spot on his arm with something cold that smelled like alcohol. The needle went in smoothly, and Jake barely felt it. He watched his blood flow through a clear tube into a plastic bag. Betty chatted about the weather while she worked. Jake scrolled through his phone, reading about his upcoming biology exam. He felt fine, and even a little proud that his blood might help save someone. The whole process took about 30 minutes. Betty gave him orange juice and cookies, then handed him a $50 bill. Jake thanked her and walked back outside, feeling good about helping others and solving his money problems at the same time. His blood bag sat in a cooler, with dozens of others all labeled with numbers and dates. A delivery truck would pick them up that afternoon and take them to processing centers. Jake had no idea that his particular bag would soon cause the biggest scientific discovery in human history. At the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, Dr. Lisa Harper worked late into the evening. She ran routine tests on blood samples from across the country looking for new diseases or unusual patterns. Most samples showed normal results, but Jake's sample made her computer screen flash red warnings. The readings made no sense. Jake's blood showed healing properties that seemed impossible. Cells regenerated faster than anything she had ever seen. The blood could fight off viruses and bacteria that it had never encountered before. Dr. Harper ran the tests 3 more times and got the same incredible results. She called her supervisor, but decided not to mention the unusual findings yet. She wanted to run more tests. First, Dr. Harper labeled Jake's sample as priority research and locked it in a special refrigerator. She would start fresh tests in the morning using different equipment. Jake walked back to his dorm room and found his roommate Pete playing video games. Pete asked about the bandage on Jake's arm, and Jake explained about the blood donation. Pete laughed and said Jake would do anything for money, even bleed for it. Jake threw a pillow at Pete, and they both laughed. That night, Jake slept better than he had in weeks. He dreamed about passing his exams and having enough money for food. His body felt strong and healthy. He did not know that his blood contained genetic markers that would change everything. Humans knew about their place in the universe 60 light-years away, on a planet called Kylara. Commander Zexai studied readings from deep space monitoring stations. The Kylarian Empire had been searching for thousands of years for genetic material that could enhance their warrior species. They had found many planets with life, but nothing useful. The genetic signature detected from Earth looked different from anything in their databases. Commander Zexai called his science officers to analyze the data. The readings showed adaptive properties that their species had lost long ago. If this genetic material could be harvested, it might solve their evolutionary problem. Zexai ordered his fleet to begin preparations for a long journey to the third planet of a small yellow star. The humans living there had no idea they possessed something so valuable. The Kylarians would take what they needed, and the primitive species would never know what happened on another world called Threnex. Ambassador Thrin also detected the genetic signature. The Galactic Consortium had rules about contacting new species, but these readings were too important to ignore. Thrin began preparing a diplomatic mission to make peaceful contact with the humans. Both alien civilizations started planning their trips to Earth. Neither knew about the other. Both believed they would be the first to contact humanity. Both wanted the same thing, the genetic secrets hidden in human blood, starting with one college student who just wanted money for text books. Jake woke up the next morning feeling great. He had no headache or dizziness from giving blood. His arm did not even hurt where the needle went in. He got dressed and headed to class, completely unaware that alien ships were already plotting courses toward his planet. Dr. Harper arrived at her lab early and immediately began new tests on Jake's blood sample. The results were even more amazing than before. The blood seemed to adapt and improve itself while sitting in storage. She had never seen anything like it. In 20 years of medical research, she made careful notes and prepared to contact other scientists. This discovery could revolutionize medicine and change how humans understood their own biology. Dr. Harper had no idea she was about to trigger a chain of events that would bring Earth its first contact with alien life. The day continued normally for everyone except Dr. Harper, who worked frantically to understand what she had found. Jake attended his classes, ate lunch with Katie, and studied in the library. He felt healthy and happy, with no idea that his simple act of kindness had started something that would change the entire galaxy. 2 weeks passed since Jake donated blood, and he felt better than ever before. His girlfriend Katie Wu noticed it first during their study session at the library. She pointed out that Jake had not been sick once this semester, even though half the campus had caught the flu. Jake laughed and said he just had good luck. Katie was not convinced. She was a journalism major and trained to notice details that others missed. She reminded Jake about the cut he got last week while working in the environmental lab. The deep gash on his hand had healed completely overnight, with no scar. Dr. Lisa Harper worked 16-hour days studying Jake's blood sample. Every test revealed new impossibilities. The blood could regenerate damaged tissue, fight unknown diseases, and even improve its own genetic structure. She contacted her mentor, Dr. Richard Stone, at the National Institutes of Health. Dr. Stone flew to Atlanta the next day to see the results for himself. He brought specialized equipment and ran his own tests. The findings matched Dr. Harper's work perfectly. Dr. Stone made encrypted phone calls to government contacts he had worked with before. Within hours, Colonel Ryan Blake arrived at the CDC facility. He wore a simple business suit but carried military identification and clearance levels that impressed even Dr. Harper. Colonel Blake explained that the government had been monitoring unusual biological discoveries for national security reasons. Colonel Blake asked for all information about the blood donor. Dr. Harper provided Jake's basic details from the donation form. College student, age 22, studying environmental science at Arizona State University. The colonel made more phone calls, and teams of specialists arrived that evening. Received a polite phone call. The next morning, a woman who said she worked for the CDC asked if he could come in for follow-up questions about his recent blood donation. She explained it was routine for certain donors. Jake agreed and drove to the address she provided. The building looked like a normal medical office, but Jake noticed unusual security measures, metal detectors, cameras, and guards, who looked more like soldiers than hospital staff. The receptionist led him to a conference room, where Dr. Harper waited with Colonel Blake and 3 other people in suits. Colonel Blake introduced himself and explained that Jake's blood sample showed remarkable properties. They needed to run more tests and ask some questions about his medical history. Jake felt confused and a little scared, but agreed to cooperate. The questions seemed endless. They asked about every illness, injury, and medical treatment Jake had ever received. They wanted to know about his family history, his diet, his exercise habits, and even his stress levels. Jake answered honestly, but wondered why his blood donation had caused such interest. Dr. Harper drew several more blood samples while Colonel Blake explained what they had discovered. Jake's blood could heal wounds, regenerate damaged organs, and fight diseases that did not even exist yet. The genetic markers in his cells were unlike anything science had ever documented. Jake stared at them in shock. He asked if this meant he was some kind of mutant or freak. Colonel Blake assured him that he was completely human, but represented something new in human evolution. The Colonel explained that all humans had these properties to some degree. But Jake's expression was extraordinary. The real surprise came when Colonel Blake revealed that Earth had been in contact with alien civilizations for several years. Most of these contacts remained secret, while governments learned about galactic politics and technology. Some aliens had been monitoring human development. For centuries, Colonel Blake opened a laptop and showed Jake photographs of alien beings and spacecraft. He explained that several alien species were interested in human genetics because most galactic civilizations had reached evolutionary dead ends thousands of years ago. Humans were different. Jake learned human genetics continued to adapt and evolve in ways that amazed alien scientists. Some aliens wanted to study humans peacefully, while others might try to take genetic material by force. Jake's unusual blood had attracted attention from across the galaxy. Jake felt overwhelmed by the information. He asked to call Katie, and Colonel Blake agreed, but explained that she would need security clearance to know about these discoveries. Jake called Katie and asked her to come to the medical building immediately. Katie arrived 30 minutes later and went through the same security procedures Jake had experienced. Colonel Blake and Dr. Harper explained everything again. Katie took notes and asked detailed questions like the good journalist she was training to become. The biggest shock came when Dr. Harper suggested testing Katie as well. Many humans showed enhanced genetic properties, and people close to Jake might share similar traits. Katie agreed to give blood samples, and the results came back within hours. Katie had the same unusual genetic markers as Jake, but expressed differently. Her blood showed enhanced mental processing abilities and resistance to psychological stress. Dr. Harper explained that human genetic diversity might be humanity's greatest strength. Colonel Blake received a phone call during their meeting. He listened carefully, then hung up with a serious expression on his face. He told Jake and Katie that alien ships had been detected at the edge of the solar system, moving toward Earth. The genetic discoveries had triggered something much larger than anyone expected. Jake asked what this meant for him, and Katie. Colonel Blake explained that they would need protection while the government figured out how to handle first contact with alien species. Some aliens were peaceful, but others were known to be aggressive. About genetic resources, Katie immediately started asking about documenting these events for the public. Colonel Blake said most information had to remain classified, but Katie could help by preparing humanity for the reality of alien contact. Her journalism background made her valuable for communication efforts. Jake felt like his life had completely changed in just a few hours. 2 weeks ago, he was worried about textbook money. Now he was apparently the most genetically valuable human on Earth, with aliens flying toward his planet because of his blood donation. Dar Harper continued testing blood samples from Jake and Katie, while Colonel Blake coordinated with military and scientific teams around the world. The genetic discoveries were spreading beyond just Jake, as testing revealed other humans with similar properties in different countries. As evening fell, Jake and Katie were moved to a secure facility for their protection. Colonel Blake explained that within days, alien representatives would arrive at Earth to make contact. Everything would change once humanity learned they were not alone in the universe. Jake looked out the window at the stars and wondered which ones hid alien civilizations coming to meet him. His simple act of donating blood for grocery money had started a chain reaction that would affect every person on Earth. The adventure was just beginning. Ambassador Thrin's ship appeared in Earth's solar system 3 days after Jake learned about his genetic importance. The massive vessel looked like a silver disk with flowing curves and glowing blue lights. It positioned itself near the moon and broadcast peaceful messages in dozens of human languages. Television, News channels around the world went crazy trying to understand why aliens wanted to meet a college student from Arizona. World leaders held emergency meetings while scientists debated whether this was real or an elaborate hoax. The alien ship was definitely real, and definitely waiting for a response. Jake watched the news coverage from his secure government facility in Nevada. Katie sat beside him, taking notes for what she hoped would become the most important news story in human history. Colonel Blake paced around the room making phone calls to officials in Washington and other world capitals. Ambassador Thrin sent detailed messages explaining the situation to the United Nations. The alien representative wanted to land peacefully and speak with Earth's leaders about genetic research opportunities. Thrin emphasized that the Galactic Consortium came in friendship and scientific cooperation. The messages also contained warnings about other alien species that might not be so peaceful. The Calarian Empire was known for taking what they wanted without asking permission. Their ships were faster and would arrive within days. Earth needed to prepare for potential conflict. Jake felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. World leaders were debating humanity's future. Because of his blood donation, he asked Colonel Blake if there was any way to avoid the attention, but the colonel explained that Jake's genetic signature was already known across the galaxy. Katie worked with government communication teams to prepare press releases about first contact. She helped write speeches for the president and other world leaders. Her journalism training proved valuable for explaining complex alien politics to confused human populations. Ambassador Thrin landed at the United Nations building in New York City. The alien stood 7 feet tall with pale blue skin and large dark eyes that showed intelligence and kindness. Thrin wore flowing robes that seemed to change color in different light and spoke perfect English. The first meeting between humans and aliens focused entirely on Jake Martinez and his remarkable blood. Ambassador Thrin explained that Jake represented something the galaxy had never seen before: true, adaptive evolution that could continue indefinitely, without genetic dead ends. Most alien species reached maximum development and then stopped evolving. Their genetics became stable, but also limited. Humans appeared to be different, with genetics that kept improving and adapting to new challenges. This made humans incredibly valuable to galactic civilization. Thrin offered amazing deals in exchange for genetic research. Cooperation advanced medical technology that could cure any human disease. Energy systems that would end pollution, space travel capabilities that would let humans explore the galaxy. Peaceful integration into galactic society. However, Thrin also brought terrifying news about the Calarian Empire commander. Zex's warrior species had been fighting across the galaxy for thousands of years, but their aggressive nature had caused genetic problems. They desperately needed genetic enhancement. To survive, the Calarians would not negotiate or offer fair trades. They would simply take what they needed and destroy anyone who resisted. Their military technology was far advanced compared to human weapons. Earth's defenses would not stop a determined Calarian assault. Jake met Ambassador Thrin personally at a secure meeting facility. The alien seemed genuinely friendly and interested in peaceful cooperation. Thrin explained that the Galactic Consortium included hundreds of species working together for mutual benefit. Thrin showed Jake images of other worlds and alien civilizations, cities that floated in clouds, medical technology that could regrow entire organs, peaceful species that had solved problems like hunger, disease, and war. The galaxy was full of wonders, waiting for human exploration. But Jake also learned about the darker side of galactic politics. Species that had been enslaved for their genetic resources, planets stripped of biological materials, wars fought over evolutionary advantages. The Calarians were not the only dangerous species in the galaxy. Katie interviewed Ambassador Thrin for hours, documenting everything about alien society, politics, and technology. Her articles would help prepare humanity for the reality of galactic civilization. She asked tough questions about alien intentions and human safety. The most shocking revelation came when Thrin revealed that Jake was not unique. Testing had revealed 12 other humans with similar genetic properties. Around the world, a firefighter in Chicago, a doctor in Bangladesh, a teacher in Brazil, even Katie showed valuable genetic traits. Dr. Harper worked frantically to understand why certain humans expressed these enhanced genetics. The research suggested that human genetic diversity was the key. Some combinations of genes created extraordinary adaptive abilities. The properties might be more common than anyone realized. Colonel Blake coordinated with military forces around the world, preparing for the Kyorian arrival. Human weapons were primitive compared to alien technology, but Earth's defenses had some advantages that aliens might not expect. Human creativity and adaptability in warfare. Jake struggled with impossible decisions. His choices could determine whether humanity joined galactic civilization peacefully or faced conquest and enslavement. The pressure was enormous for someone who just wanted to help pay for college. Textbooks. Katie documented everything happening around them. Her journalism instincts told her this story would change how humans saw themselves in the universe. She interviewed scientists, military officers, and government officials preparing comprehensive reports. Ambassador Thrin warned that Commander Zek's fleet would arrive within 2 days. The Kalarian Empire had no interest in negotiation or cooperation. They viewed humans as genetic resources to be harvested, not equals to be respected. Jake asked what would happen if he agreed to help the Galactic Consortium. Thrin explained that voluntary cooperation would benefit both species. Humans would gain access to galactic technology while helping solve genetic problems affecting multiple alien civilizations. The alternative was much worse. If the Kalarians took genetic material by force, they would likely enslave or destroy human civilization. Earth would become a genetic farming operation, with humans treated like livestock rather than intelligent beings. Colonel Blake received reports about massive ships approaching the outer solar system. The Kalarian fleet was larger and more powerful than expected. Their technology included weapons that could destroy entire planets if they chose to use them. Jake realized that his simple blood donation had triggered a crisis that could end human civilization. Earth was caught between peaceful aliens offering partnership and aggressive aliens demanding genetic resources. The next few days would determine humanity's fate. As night fell, Jake looked up at the stars, knowing that alien fleets were racing toward Earth because of his blood. He had never imagined that trying to earn money for textbooks would put the entire human species at risk. Everything depended on choices he was not prepared to make. Commander Zekai's fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a hammer hitting glass. The massive warships appeared suddenly around Earth, their dark metal hulls bristling with weapons that could crack planets in half. The Kalarian Empire had arrived, and they were not interested in polite conversation. Jake watched the news coverage from his underground bunker facility. The alien warships were enormous compared to anything humans had ever built. Each vessel stretched for miles and carried enough firepower to destroy entire cities. The sight of them made Jake feel sick with worry. Katie worked frantically with government communication teams as panic spread across Earth. Millions of people fled major cities, while others gathered in churches and community centers. Nobody knew if this was the end of human civilization. The aliens had come for Jake and his blood. Commander Zekai broadcast demands to every nation on Earth. Simultaneously, his voice was deep and harsh, like grinding metal. The Kalarian leader demanded immediate surrender of all genetic resources, especially the human known as Jake Martinez. Earth had 24 hours to comply them. Governments of the world held emergency meetings, but there was little time for debate. Colonel Blake coordinated with military forces across the planet, preparing for a fight that seemed hopeless. Human weapons were toys compared to Kalarian technology. Ambassador Thrin tried to negotiate between the species, but Commander Zekai refused to listen. The Kalarian leader had not come to talk. He had come to take what his empire needed. Human cooperation was unnecessary when Kalarian strength could force compliance. Jake felt the weight of billions of lives depending on his decisions. He asked Colonel Blake about the chances of human victory in a war against the Kylarians. The colonel was honest. The chances were very small, but humans would fight anyway. First surprise came when human pilots took control of experimental aircraft, built with alien technology reverse-engineered from previous secret contacts. The pilots adapted to the strange controls and navigation systems within hours, performing maneuvers that amazed even Ambassador Thrind. Human engineers worked around the clock, modifying captured alien weapons and integrating them with Earth defense systems. The modifications improved the weapons' efficiency by 30% in just 12 hours. Something that should have taken alien engineers months to accomplish. Zexai ordered the first attack, expecting easy victory against primitive human defenses. The Kylarian ships moved toward major Earth cities, but encountered resistance they had not anticipated. Human fighters using modified alien technology struck back with surprising effectiveness. The human pilots seemed to understand the alien technology intuitively, making split-second adaptations that confused Kylarian tactical computers. Human weapons crews improved captured alien energy cannons during battle, creating new firing patterns that Kylarian shields could not predict. Katie documented the battle from the command center, sending reports through alien communication networks. Her writing reached civilizations across the galaxy. The rest of the universe watched as humans fought for survival against impossible odds. Human military leaders developed new tactics every few hours, countering Kylarian strategies faster than the aliens could adapt. Ground forces used guerrilla warfare, techniques that worked against technologically superior enemies. Human creativity proved more valuable than superior weapons. Commanders Zexai found himself fighting a war unlike anything in Kylarian history. The humans learned from every encounter, adapting their strategies and improving their technology in real time. The primitive species was proving surprisingly difficult to conquer. Jake watched the battle coverage and made a decision that surprised everyone. He contacted both alien leaders directly using communication equipment in the bunker. His message was broadcast across all networks, reaching every ship in the solar system. Jake proposed a solution that could benefit everyone. Instead of fighting over genetic resources, humans would share their adaptive abilities through voluntary cooperation. The key was partnership, not conquest or exploitation. Everyone could gain more through working together. His message explained that human genetic strength came from diversity and independence. Conquest would destroy the very properties that made humans valuable. The Kylarians could gain genetic enhancement, but only through peaceful cooperation. Katie supported Jake's proposal with detailed reports about human society and culture. Her journalism background helped her explain why forced genetic harvesting would fail. Humans worked best when they chose to help, not when they were forced to comply. The fighting continued for 3 more days. But something strange was happening. Kylarian casualties were higher than expected. While human forces grew more effective with each battle, human adaptability was proving stronger than Kylarian technology. Commander Zexai began to realize that conquest might not work the way his empire expected. The humans were not just resisting, they were learning from Kylarian technology and improving it. Human engineers had reverse-engineered Kylarian energy weapons in less than a week. Ambassador Thrind supported Jake's proposal, explaining to both sides how cooperation could benefit the entire galaxy. The Galactic Consortium had examples of successful partnerships between species that solved problems better than conquest or exploitation. Human scientists led by Dr. Harper made breakthrough discoveries about genetic adaptation during the battle. Their research showed that human abilities were enhanced by stress and challenge. The war itself was making humans more genetically valuable, not less. Jake received reports that other humans with enhanced genetics were showing new abilities during the crisis. A firefighter in Chicago could heal others with his touch. A doctor in Bangladesh could boost immune systems just by being near patients. The real turning point came when human forces captured a Kylarian battleship intact. Human engineers swarmed over the alien technology and had it operational within 18 hours. They not only learned to use Kylarian weapons, but improved them significantly. Commander Zexai watched his advanced battleship being used against his own forces by humans who had never seen the technology before. The primitive species was adapting faster than his tactical computers could calculate. This was supposed to be an easy conquest. Katie interviewed captured Colorine soldiers and discovered something important. The warrior species respected strength and adaptability more than anything else. The humans were earning Kylarian respect through their incredible ability to learn and adapt. Jake realized that the battle was changing both species. Humans were learning about galactic technology and warfare, while Kylarians were seeing adaptation abilities they had lost centuries ago. The conflict was becoming a learning experience for everyone involved. As the fourth day of fighting ended, both alien leaders agreed to consider Jake's proposal. The humans had proven they could not be easily conquered, while demonstrating the very genetic qualities that made them valuable. The war was achieving nothing useful for anyone. Commander Zexhai sent a message requesting direct negotiation with Jake Martinez. The Kylarian leader wanted to understand how humans could adapt so quickly to alien technology. The primitive species had surprised the greatest military empire in the galaxy. Jake Martinez sat across from Commander Zexhai in a conference room aboard the captured Kylarian battleship. The massive alien warrior looked uncomfortable sitting at a table designed for human diplomacy, but his dark eyes showed respect rather than anger. The negotiations took place on neutral ground with Ambassador Thrin serving as mediator. Jake felt nervous talking to beings who had tried to conquer Earth just days before, but he also saw an opportunity to create something better than war. Commander Zexhai spoke first, admitting that his empire had underestimated human capabilities. The Kylarians expected easy conquest, but found themselves fighting an enemy that learned faster than their tactical computers could predict. Human adaptability was more impressive than any weapon. Jake explained his proposal. Again, humans would establish genetic research centers throughout the galaxy, sharing their adaptive abilities through voluntary programs. The key was cooperation between equals, not exploitation of weaker species. The Kylarian leader listened carefully, then asked direct questions about human military performance during the recent battle. How had human pilots mastered alien technology so quickly? Why could human engineers improve Kylarian weapons in just hours? Katie documented every word of the negotiations while broadcasting updates to civilizations across the galaxy. Her reports were reaching species that had never heard of humans before. Earth was becoming famous throughout the universe for its surprising defensive capabilities. Ambassador Thrin presented the Galactic Consortium perspective, explaining how human genetic diversity could benefit hundreds of species. Many civilizations faced evolutionary problems. That human adaptability might solve. The potential for mutual benefit was enormous. The breakthrough came when Commander Zexhai made an unexpected proposal. The Kylarian Empire wanted to establish joint training programs with human military forces. Kylarians would teach advanced combat techniques while learning human adaptability and tactical flexibility. Jake was surprised by this development. What started as a conquest attempt was becoming a military alliance. The warrior species respected human fighting abilities and wanted to incorporate human methods into their own strategies. Dar Harper joined the negotiations to explain the science behind human genetic adaptation. Her research showed that human abilities were enhanced by diversity, challenge, and cooperation. Forced genetic harvesting would destroy the very properties that made humans valuable. The solution that emerged surprised everyone involved: a three-way partnership between humans, Kylarians, and the Galactic Consortium would create research stations throughout the galaxy. Humans would share genetic knowledge while gaining advanced technology and protection. Jake became the first human ambassador to the Galactic Consortium, a role he never wanted, but accepted out of necessity. His blood donation had started this crisis, and he felt responsible for finding a peaceful solution. Katie transitioned from student journalist to interstellar correspondent, documenting humanity's integration into galactic society. Her articles about the war and negotiations were being translated into hundreds of alien languages. The partnership agreements were signed 6 weeks after first contact human. Genetic research centers would be established on dozens of worlds while alien technology would help solve Earth's environmental and medical problems. Commander Zexai personally invited Jake to visit the Kalarian homeworld to establish the first human military training facility. The warrior species wanted to learn human tactical adaptability while teaching advanced combat techniques. Dr. Harper led a revolutionary medical exchange program, discovering that human genetic adaptability, combined with alien medical knowledge, could address health crises affecting multiple species. Her research was already saving lives across the galaxy. Jake found himself traveling between worlds as a diplomatic representative, learning about alien cultures while explaining human society to curious extraterrestrials. His environmental science background proved useful when helping aliens solve ecological problems. Caddy documented everything for her upcoming book, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Galactic Politics. Her reporting had made her famous throughout the galaxy. As the voice of human integration into galactic society, the most amusing development was Pete, Jake's former roommate, starting an interstellar food truck business. Human cuisine became incredibly popular with alien visitors to Earth. Pete made more money selling tacos to aliens than Jake earned as a galactic ambassador. 6 months after the first alien contact, Jake stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar diplomatic vessel, looking out at alien stars. The ship was a joint human-Kylarian construction, combining the best of both species' technologies. Gaddy worked beside him, documenting their diplomatic mission to establish a genetic research station in the Andromeda Galaxy. Human scientists would work with alien researchers to study evolutionary adaptation across multiple species. The irony was not lost on Jake that his simple blood donation for textbook money had changed the trajectory of human civilization. His genetic signature had attracted alien attention, but human adaptability and creativity had earned galactic respect. Commander Zexai had become an unlikely ally, teaching human soldiers advanced combat techniques while learning human tactical flexibility. The former enemies were now partners in a growing Interstellar Alliance. Ambassador Thrin often remarked that humans were the most interesting species the Galactic Consortium had ever encountered. Human ability to adapt and innovate was transforming how alien civilizations approached problems. Jake scheduled his next blood donation at an intergalactic medical facility, where human genetic material would help establish research programs across dozens of worlds. His blood had started this adventure and would continue helping others. The genetic research centers were producing remarkable results. Human adaptability, combined with alien medical knowledge, was solving health crises that had plagued species for thousands of years. The partnership was benefiting everyone involved. Earth became a popular destination for alien tourists. Curious about the species that had surprised the galaxy, human culture was spreading throughout known space. While alien knowledge was advancing human science and technology, Katie often reminded Jake that his story proved how small actions could have enormous consequences. A college student donating blood for grocery money had triggered first contact and changed the relationship between hundreds of species as their ship approached the Andromeda Galaxy. Jake reflected on how much had changed since that Tuesday morning when he walked across campus worried about textbook money. Now, he was helping establish humanity's place in galactic civilization. The final communication came from Earth, where Dr. Harper reported that genetic testing had identified thousands of humans with enhanced adaptive abilities. The properties that made Jake special were actually common throughout human populations. Commander Zexai sent updates about joint military exercises where human and Kylarian forces were developing new tactical doctrines that combined the best of both species' strengths. The warrior empire was learning the value of cooperation. Jake looked out at alien stars and smiled, knowing that his blood donation had started something wonderful. Human genetic adaptability was helping species across the galaxy, while alien knowledge was advancing human civilization. The adventure that began with $50 for college textbooks had become a new chapter in galactic history. Jake Martinez, the ordinary student, had become Jake Martinez the ambassador, but he never forgot that it all started with trying to help others.